So the Warriors owner, Joe Lacob, I thought this was an awesome quote. And I know we're not giving you the full quote, but he says, we might very well regret that one, talking about James Wiseman. Longer term or even intermediate term, I think James is a really good young player, and we're not going to get many opportunities to draft a young guy like that again. Didn't he also go on to say, like, what else did he say? That it was partially James Wiseman's fault for not succeeding in Golden State?
Yeah, he did. He's like, it was our fault and also his fault for not being like available because of injury. But like I said, I did read that full Athletic article. It was a Q&A. Their Warriors beat reporter, I think Anthony Slater it is, sat down with him and kind of asked him about like the state of the team. Do you regret, trading for Gary Payton? And kind of like where he was at. And like from a standpoint, he's like kind of thinking of in the back of his head, like, I really like James Wiseman. This was really hard for me to trade him.
I don't know. Do you think they end up regretting it though? Like even long term, like let's just say, I don't know, the dynasty's over for the Warriors. Who knows how far they go in the playoffs? Let's just say they're going to retool in the offseason. You would love to have a former second overall pick. I don't know what you have to do. Like, I mean, did it really feel like they had to change their offense in their schemes that much to have James Wiseman fit? Like, I feel like James Wiseman has a pretty good skill set from what we've seen in just a short amount of time. But I don't know. It kind of blows my mind that it didn't work out for him in Golden State. It seems like the perfect place for a young athletic big to thrive in, but, it didn't.
I mean, I feel like every player can fit a system. It just depends if that player is willing to sacrifice a role. And I don't know if James Wiseman, like he didn't really play a lot, right? Like, he played a little bit in college. I think he played a couple games his rookie year. Then he got hurt. And then he played some G League action this year. And then, they flip him. I think what they like more is a Kevon Looney type, kind of just like a scrappy guy. And like, I think James Wiseman would be capable to kind of play within that Kevon Looney role if the Warriors wanted him to, but I just don't think they were patient enough. I think when they saw an opportunity to get one of their best defenders that I'm sorry, man, like Gary Payton was very responsible for their last championship. Gary Payton was a lockdown defender. And I think when they saw that, it's like, we got to go. Like, we got to trade for this guy because defensively right now, we suck. I don't know if their dynasty's over. It's really hard to count out Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green.
For sure.
They got young guys like Jordan Poole on the rise. I mean, they still have Jonathan Kuminga. They still have Moses Moody. They have some young pieces. They have some vets. Like I said, if they get everyone back in time, like they get Iguodala back, they get Wiggins back after whatever he's going through for some personal reasons, they could run the table again. You never know.
So you have guys like Jonathan Kuminga, who the last 4 or 5 games, he's played pretty well for the Warriors. I think he's averaging like 14 and 6 with maybe a block and a steal in the absence of Andrew Wiggins. But why is it guys like him can thrive and build on something in Golden State, but a talented guy like James Wiseman can't figure it out? Does it really come down more to fit with James Wiseman or just more of he didn't want to accept a lesser role? What do you think it is? Because I think it comes down to his attitude, like not wanting to fit a role for them, not wanting to be that Kevon Looney type, especially if you're drafted second overall. You probably come into the league where you're like, cool, I'm going to be the franchise guy. Like, I don't want to play a lesser role. You drafted me this high for a reason. But what do you think it was more about? Like his attitude, his role, or just team fit? Because young guys do fit in Golden State. Jordan Poole, I mean, he just got a huge contract from him. He's looked good in their system.
Yeah. To your question, I think it was just a fit thing. I don't think it's his attitude.
Okay.
Because since he's come to Detroit, he's been so positive. He's, been asked to, come into an offense. And even though last night he didn't do a whole lot, recently he's been playing really well next to Marvin Bagley or Isaiah Stewart. I don't think he has an attitude problem of trying to fit a role. I think it was more of a Golden State thing and their development. When you have a guy that athletic, that nimble, able to rim run, and show a little bit of defensive flashes here and there, I look more at the coaching staff than I look at James Wiseman because he was taken second overall for a reason.
True.
and they just couldn't figure it out. I want to give Chuck Brewer a shout out. He had an excellent comment if you guys are watching live on YouTube or Facebook. He said Poole even had to spend time in the G League. And he's right. He spent a lot of time in the G League,
true.
like a lot. Like he wasn't this, 40% 3-point shooter. It took him a lot of time in Santa Cruz before it became one of those shooters. And you mentioned he got the bag this summer. So I think we can point to Golden State's development isn't on par with other teams in the NBA. And I think if you're a Piston fan listening to this, I think it's actually a blessing in disguise, because if this guy develops into, I don't know, even 50% of the player we think he could be, you have a starting center for quite a long time. And a guy he moves so fast for being a 7-footer. Sometimes, like, when he runs, I was like, dude, he should not be able to run that fast.
Yeah.
Like, dude, he runs like a gazelle out there, man. I was like, holy crap, this guy, wow.
The play last night that just blew my mind was the block. And then as soon as he got the block, because there's a lot of big men. This is the thing I was the most impressed by, because there's a lot of big men that get that block and they're like, dude, my job is done. But James Wiseman, I forget who he got the block on, but then he just took off in a dead sprint. He was leading the pack with RJ Hampton bringing it up. And I think it was actually Marvin Bagley trailing behind both of those guys. You cannot – I'm so excited for James Wiseman in Detroit, man. I'm just so excited because just that little play just kind of showed it all for me, where I'm like, you're right. If this guy can just put half of it together, just, 50% of what you were saying, like the player we think he can be, he's dangerous. He's special, even at 50% reaching of his potential. He's a very special player, and I think that play showed it. But I don't know, man. It just seems kind of crazy that the Warriors messed it up so bad. They were gifted the second overall pick, and they whiffed, man. They swung for the fences, and they whiffed. And you're right. It's a blessing in disguise for Detroit, but kind of sucks for the Warriors.